se situe au même niveau que la réception. Bravo à nos musiciens, a big applause for our musicians.
So, et maintenant, notre athlète,
Mesdames et messieurs, est-ce que j'ai oublié quelqu'un? Vous avez faim? On laisse toujours le meilleur.
This is Milk Abbey, just coming into view. Milk Abbey, 1756.
You have this brown door over here, which says Stiftsgymnasium. And Stiftsgymnasium also
Daughters of Marie Antoinette. I think it's Marie
Of course, you can
Theresa.
imagine that someone like Maria Theresa having so many children. She did not travel alone, right? But the fact
The
that
milk
it has been
cross
graceful for so long,
has
centuries,
inside it a
came
piece
here
of
in a way. So compared to the cloaks in the other room, that's again a huge contrast. And the
Marie
most
Theresa.
famous
Story of Christ for the English people in the 1500s.
When you look at this model, do you know where we are right now?
One of the sides.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, actually, you know, that area is also used by the school. And the board is of wisdom.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. The flood levels at different times. On this building, beside the landing stage at Milk.
On fait même son courrier en regardant les écluses. Collez, collez.
This is a weir, just the beginning of Vienna. You can see. Outskirts of Vienna, in the centre is a television.
So it'll be something like coal or something like that, won't it? Or sand or something.
And now we're in Slovakia. Now not too far from Bratislava, coming into a lock.
The Danube from the border between Slovakia.
A German version is still used to this day, but was especially popular before 1918, when Vienna and Bratislava were considered sister cities, and Pressburg was for the Viennese.
It's the presidential
It's a special Slovak wine.
The Carpathians start here.
When
They're excavating part of the castle. The tour guide's wife is the archaeologist behind it. And here's the castle. New city. Statue to a local hero. 846 to 894. On his horse. That's Austria. It's the old city. Over there's some stumps which were the original
one
they
of the
captured
Palsy
large
family,
amounts of coffee.
Palsy was the
And
admiral
chocolate
of the army.
also became popular.
He is-
Well, it's secession. So this is the most beautiful secession house in our city.
Secession House. The public space seems to be a monstrosity was added to a rather nice old building during the communist era. An unusual bridge. It looks like two-deck, but I don't think it is. We've arrived in Budapest, Hungary.
After that, we drive to the castle district. There is the Matthias Church, Fisherman Bastion, and we stop in Budapest. So many students are from different countries. Budapest, not in Hungary.
The Embassy Street.
And at the end of the Andrássy Avenue is you can swim. But a little bit, not really. So here is the entrance to the Széchenyi Spa. It is the most beautiful on best side.
Seven chiefs came from Israel to Hungary.
Hungarian.
Here's a trabant. A trabant.
Look at that from the roof there, the
Matthias Hilton. And here's the Danube looking westwards. This is not
Voda, it means water. Maybe that's why.
Buddha.
Yes, and then we do a bit of it.
Start of the Children's Railway. Platform 1 of the Children's Railway. Yes, says so here.
Made in Romania. Well, that's pin sharp, so that's okay.
Yeah, that's it.
And you can see we're on a funicular railway. Now we're on the Hungarian plain. This is a ferry across. People are off looking at the horse galloping. The border with Serbia. Hungarian-Serbian border. Serbia's not in the EU, so that was the first Serbian bridge we saw just back there. Our corridor. World War II gun? Looks like market. Zucchini is 50. See the prices? 350 dinars.
Southern Serbia and also
Typical of Central and South Serbia.
and this is how typical Serbian is
Court.
You see, it looks like
The agriculture is based on corn and and sunflower work. And you see the loose cloth. City Hall. Traffic. Very quiet. There's a Novi Sad. Trade zone with Russia. They sold their gas company to Gazprom.
capital of Byzantine.
No seats because Christianity didn't want to be caught in the Roman times.
They've got the European Union thing.
This is the park for the main fortress.
About this victory
6,000 Christians, together with Serbians and Hungarians, defeated 100,000 Turks. Apparently the girls are beautiful and the boys are clever, or something.
In Belgrade, and also the Belgrade Zoo is the only European zoo. And the monument is unveiled in 1882 and it is the
Unveiled 1882.
Just behind the monument is part of the building was destroyed, and later the... You can see this magnificent dome.
Started in 1935, most of it has the capacity. Always stand up in Orthodox churches.
Every of these terraces could stand 700 members of the choir, so altogether...
Choir can be 7. This will be on the floor. And not all the pieces are the same size.
Climate in the summer, I think hops should grow there all right. Yeah.
Still Serbia, Monday the 23rd.
Within your own team, Marty, anybody can play any time. Ooh.
1781, une petite unité israélienne qui résista de manière peu démocratique, qui ne réussissait pas à prendre que la ligne
red dragon, all associated with this castle.
Une inscription taillée dans la roche à la mémoire de Gabriel Barros.
Beginning of the gorge.
In which the famous killer...
Sometimes they couldn't even do that, so they drove horizontal piles into the side of the mountain, thereby...
This dangerous section without obstacles. On 20th of February 1896, the dam was blown up to flood the canal. The first test passage was undertaken a few days later on 18th of March by the Tucea. The Hungarian government, which had organized the inauguration, invited the chairman of the DDSG and the director of transport of Hungary, who were...
of the river downstream.
Alors, mesdames et messieurs, si vous regardez régularisation.
I don't know the number of this. Budapest and Vienna. On the bottom is the railway tunnels, the lower one being the railway, the upper one being... This is John, our tour guide. We're talking about canals because he's a member of IWA. And he's had some adventures in Duckenfield.
Don't mention the bit about Duckenfield and the water.
Anyway, you tell us a little bit about yourself, John, and what you do.
Well, I'm with the Heritage Boat Society as part of their youth policy of new recruitment, and we take big working boats with a butty sometimes around, and we take them to various canal-side festivals. So from time to time we get the opportunity of spending a couple of days on board, helping move a 70-foot motor, perhaps with a 70-foot butty. Many of them stay on board overnight, but I'm afraid my days of doing that are over, and I book into a nice comfortable guest house somewhere nearby, which I find much more accommodated, shall I say.
Excellent.
But it's great fun. It's
yeah.
great fun.
Thanks. Left hand side, the west side here is Romania. Here, by the look of it, in the background you can see Highway 70. Now we're in Bulgaria, at Rus. Some is doing too badly for themselves by the look of some. These are pictures of people with apparently their ages, perhaps when they died or something like that. Oh, got all graffiti. Quite classy stuff.
Well, the Romans, they built a small settlement that...
In Russia, they wrote a lot of articles depicting how Bulgaria suffered at that time. And that's why probably...
Gladstone's got a human body, the horse behind that screen.
The economy states into two halves.
This is the Rus courthouse. Reach the beginnings of the delta.
do you do? My name's Terry Bays and I'm 73 years of age. Having retired from the construction industry as a safety advisor some 13 years ago now. On retirement, a very good comrade of mine suggested or inquired, what are you doing in your retirement? I said, so I explained, recapturing the old trade union days, trades council, Communist Party branch meetings and one thing or another. He said, how about coming to the Working Class Movement Library? We're always looking for volunteers. So I said, I'll give it a whirl. So he said, just go to Salford Crescent railway station. And it's the first house on the Crescent. Okay. Very good. So he said, it's the first house on the Crescent when you leave Salford Crescent railway station. Off our tunnels, and I'm confronted by a large mock Tudor building comprising 4 stories and a cellar. And on being introduced to the library, I met the librarian Alan, who subsequently retired but still a volunteer like myself. He gave me a very comprehensive tour of the library, explaining the aims and objects of the library, which is, as the name suggests, to educate and offer advice on working class movement history and the struggles that the working class have had in order to try and improve their social standing. So what does the volunteer do at the library? The library is composed of a full-time librarian, an assistant librarian, and 1 part-time secretary, a young man who's wanting to get into being a librarian. The rest of us are all volunteers. We can claim travelling expenses, but I only know of 1 person who does claim his expenses, which he's fully entitled to do. And we do a variety of jobs. For example, my first job was to go into the cellar and have a look at all the trade union files. There must be about 50 filing drawers, and over the years they've got a trifle confused. So I spent quite a bit of my time in artificial light going through all this data. And it's quite an interest. The main problem is there is always a tendency to read what you're trying to sort. And consequently, self-discipline has to be exercised in order to do the job correctly and properly. But whatever you do at the library, I always find that my week is incomplete if I don't go. So I make every effort to attend. As I was saying, my week is incomplete if I don't make it to the library, usually a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and I liaise with my colleagues and we do various items and pieces of work. The main thing is we're trying to develop an indexing system for the contents of the library, and believe you me, that will be a very big challenge to attain by virtue of the fact that we're always getting various donations and it's a constantly expanding curve. Another factor to bear in mind when we're trying to index and come to the conclusion what we do have is so many people have given us things, or they've been left things in wills and one thing and another. Especially on the photographic side, we've a job to identify people. Let me give you an example. We have a very big portfolio on the Spanish Civil War, and a friend of myself, Stuart, we've been going through umpteen photographs, trying to establish who the people are who are depicted in the photos. Some are quite easy to establish, especially the lads from the northwest who were in the International Brigade. Yeah. We know them. But there are some, for example, there's a lad in Aberdeen who's got quite an archive of photographs, and he liaises with us and put us in the picture about foreign brigaders, namely Germans and Americans, lads who were in the Americans would be in the Abe Lincoln Battalion and the Germans will be in the Thielmann Battalion. And this is the type of thing we do. We've archives on the pensioners movement and practically all aspects of life relative to the trade union movement. And let us face it, this library is run and financed largely by two bodies, the labour movement, the trade unions, not the Labour Party, but the trade unions, and public support. And Salford, let's get this right too, the Working Class Movement Library is in Salford. It's often attributed to Manchester, and we should give Salford the credit that it deserves, because Salford City Council have supported this library through thick and thin. There was an attack on the library recently in the local government elections when the Tories said, what's the point of having a library, you can't go in and borrow a book. The Working Class Movement Library exists as a reference library, and it is open, it is closed one day a week, and it is open one Saturday per month, so that people who are working can come in and have a look at the details that we have available. If anybody's interested in going to the library, the best thing I would suggest, especially if one's travelling any distance, is to ring up, make an appointment, and if possible specify what particular subject you're looking for. For example, recently we've had one gentleman coming in looking at conscientious objectors in the First World War. And you know, sooner you get that man moving on, then another person comes in on the same subject. So if we know what you're going to refer to, it always makes it easier for you to maximise your time at the table in the reading room, or and makes it easier for the librarian and staff to get out the appropriate data in good time.
Do you get people from abroad at all?
There's China. I've met Chinese people. I've met Spanish people. Spanish people come quite a lot looking at our archive on the Civil War, and believe you me, it's marvellous and very rewarding to see people who are gleaning the information they require. For example, with one lady, she's more of a volunteer now, she's part of the structure. She's doing a study on the General and Municipal Workers Union in the 1930s for a master's. And a very pleasant lady, and she certainly made her contribution into sorting out the GMB file in the cellar, which I was involved with. Right, so what more can I tell you? It was founded, the library, let's give credit where it's due. The library was founded by Ruth and Edmund Fraun. Now, originally, the library started off in their own home. And I'm told, I never went, but I'm told by people that did, that there was only one room that there was no books on the shelves, and that was the bathroom. It's on the stairs, on the landings, you had a job to move. And this was appreciated by Salford Council, who realised the value of the contents of the dwelling, that they should be more freely available for the public and students to use. And that's how the Working Class Movement Library came into being. Who else was involved? Stan Owen, the MP.
Oh,
Frank
yes,
Alone.
I remember him. Frank Alone, I remember him.
Yeah, Frank was a gentleman in the first order, a man. If only there were so many more like him in the Labour Party.
And he really did his local. He did his local work. He had a surgery every week, unlike some MPs.
He was a genius, that man. A journalist of great repute, and I went through his paper. I was sorting through his papers, and believe you me, you couldn't wish for a finer, upstanding fellow.
Yeah.
Stan Owen was somewhat in his shadow, I think, but a genuine socialist. They will be turning in the grave now if they saw what's going on in the House of Commons in the name of the Labour Party.
Yeah.
But that's outside the topic this morning, isn't it? But that's it. As far as I'm concerned, my week is incomplete without a visit to the Working Class Movement Library.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
tractor boat to trade on the bateau. On the left, sorry.
Got a ramp on the front of it. Good old boat. It's a Norwegian company processing materials from the agriculture area here.
Le bâtiment rouge, la société norvégienne qui exploite the largest compact surface of touch of the Russian
Been around in Tucea.
community.
Not many around.